Hey guys, Duelist here. Just had a range day weekend. Went out shooting some pistols and some other stuff.
Woo!
This video is going to be how to clean a Glock. It's pretty simple. It applies to pretty much every Glock out there. Only some of the internals will change here and there. The overall process is the same. This is for your basic cleaning with a field strip. Clean the barrel, clean the slide, clean a little bit of the frame. You could also take apart the entire pistol, strip every part out and clean it. That's not entirely necessary. If you put the gun into long-term storage, or you've shot a lot of rounds through it and you've never cleaned it all out, you can take the whole gun apart and clean it. But for this is going to cover the majority of your cleanings after the range, after a couple trips out, after X number of rounds, however you feel comfortable. But I like to clean my guns after every range trip. Even if I haven't taken them out to the range in a while, I still clean them pretty regularly, at least once or twice a year. You can go a lot longer, especially with a Glock. A Glock will operate dirty, hasn't been cleaned in a long time, it'll still work, doesn't require a lot of lubrication. So in order to clean your pistol, you're going to need cleaning solution. I recommend some gloves, even though this solution is safe and friendly. I still wear gloves just for lead residue and just so I can easily clean my hands by taking the gloves off. I recommend a bore snake, but you can also use a push rod and the classic patch attachment or the brass brush. I find bore snake much faster, much easier, a lot less hassle. Some patches help wipe things down, clean things up. I like to use some Q-tips. There's definitely some arguments out there not to use them, but just make sure that these little hairs don't get left anywhere. So be careful with that, no problem there. I also like to use a brass brush just to scrub any stubborn areas. You can also use one of the push rods too. Use an old toothbrush, make sure it's an old one. And then for the finishing touch, I have this old piece of t-shirt that it's not soaked in Ballistol, but every time I clean it, I wipe down the exterior of the pistol and put it back in the bag and just use it as a finishing cloth. Not an ad for Ballistol, but I like this stuff the best. It cleans, it lubricates, it protects, it preserves, penetrates, everything it says here on the can. It doesn't smell that bad. You can sit inside and breathe in it. It's not a big deal. And I found that my Glocks operate very well with this stuff. Hops is, a lot of people swear by it, but it smells so bad you need a cleaner and then a lubricant. This is all in one, super simple. It's a little pricey, but this stuff lasts a long time, a long time. I'll leave links to some of this stuff below, but you know, you can get different size patches if you're using a push rod for smaller bore or larger bore firearms. But again, I just use this size, just I found a good deal on this size on Amazon. Just got them, but when these run out, I'm going to start using coffee filters. I've seen guys in the auto industry use coffee filters to clean up oil and engines and grease. So I'm going to give them a shot because that's even cheaper than this, I believe. Get the gloves to start. First thing you want to do is make sure the firearm is clear. Visual inspect. Use your pinky to get in there. Obviously there's nothing in there. Fire in safe direction. Pull down on the tabs as you pull back and then pull forward. The slide comes off. So you can see not too dirty, just on a first inspection here. Lay the frame aside, take out the recoil spring, barrel, and the slide. And there you go, we field stripped the Glock. This process is the same on whether you have a full size, compact, subcompact, and the Glock 43. The only thing different between generations is the recoil spring, how many pins there are, and some of the shapes of these components. But for the majority of the things we're doing, it's the same. So the first thing I like to do is just take the barrel, give it a good soak, inside and out. A little bit of overkill. Soak the guide rod. And then you really don't want to get cleaning solution back in here to where the firing pin are. It's not going to hurt it, but when you go to shoot it next time, if there's any solution left back in there, it's just going to be a trap for dirt. So we'll go in and clean that with patches. Same thing with the frame. You really don't want to get too much solution in by the trigger group or in the front. So you don't want to spray in there. That'll just be a trap for dirt. And then you're going to be leaking solution. You won't be able to clean it and dry it. It's best to go in there with a patch. And we're just going to wipe down components here. Already a little bit of dirt, and that's just in the back by the firing group. Extractor. Just going to wipe down the rails. It was raining at the range when we went on Saturday, so I didn't want to wait too long to do this just in case there was any lingering moisture. Although I tried to dry them off when we were done and dry them when I got home, let them air out, but definitely don't want any moisture to collect in there. And to get a fresh patch for the outside, so we're not contaminating. And it should be pretty clean. I just like to be overly cautious here. You can do a quick job, or you can do a slow job, whatever your length of desired cleaning is. Probably find a lot of dirt back here by the firing pin. Makes a lot of sense. Just keep wiping until it's sufficiently clean. Parts around this area is where you can also take the brass brush. That side's a little, must have been on some fabric, but just take it, and especially if you haven't cleaned it in a while, kind of break up some of that carbon. Do tend to find that the rails can get dirty. Put it to the side when you're happy. Guide rod, this is actually a steel guide rod replacement. It's fine, you don't really need them. Plastic ones work good too. But it's nice to have extras. Just gonna clean it off so the spring can get dirty. If you really want to get crazy, you can get in there with a patch or a Q-tip and run through, but this should be pretty clean. It's okay if this is dirty, the spring will still do its job. Try and get the cloth in between the grooves. So when you're happy, put it to the side. Now the barrel, I'm just going to wipe off the first pass. Just visually inspecting the barrel. So now when you clean the barrel, you always want to go the direction the bullet travels. Go from the chamber all the way out to the crown. Now a nice thing about these bore snakes is that they have the brass brush, I don't know if you can see that, built into the end there. And then the rest is like your cleaning patch. You can just throw these in the washing machine, obviously with nothing that you care about because this brass will eat it up, to wash them out every once in a while, but they're good. So just do a pass or two, spray a little bit more in there. I rotate the barrel to try and get a cleaning solution through it all. And obviously we're using brass tools here. You don't want to use a steel brush and a brass rod, because the brass is softer than the steel of the barrel, so the brass will not harm the barrel. Don't want to ruin those grooves. They're rifling. Once you've done that a few times, just take a patch. And I've got a brass rod, and I'm just going to push it through. See how it looks. Pretty clean, but I'm not confident that it touched all the surfaces, so I'm going to push a couple patches through to make sure that we're getting a tight push. I'm going to do one more for good measure. Let's see. These guys are pretty clean. Yep, very clean. So that didn't take long at all. I'll wipe it all down. I didn't shoot this gun that much, so I'm not surprised. Shot the 27. See the rails get a little dirtier. So where a Q-tip comes in handy. I didn't shoot this one that much. Probably only a couple of magazines, so that's why this one is not that dirty. Clean the rails. Slide. A little dirtier there. Some more surface area, obviously. I like to put a little lube at the end of the barrel. Wipes off some of the excess. So there's a little interaction up there with this. There's a little interaction up here at the front of the slide. So when you're happy with how clean it is, reassemble the slide and barrel. Guide rod. Make sure it's fully sleeted. And now to lubricate, Glock doesn't need much lubrication, so I like to put a little on the end of a Q-tip. Put some on the rails. And even that's probably too much. Now we can reassemble the firearm. Just slide over the rails, make sure it's lined up straight. Give it a few cracks. Test fire. And we're good to go. So let's take this old t-shirt I've got, or a new t-shirt, or you can use a rag. Just wipe down the outside. There we go. That's how to clean the Glock. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. May God bless you, and keep standing up for what's right.
Mr. Spackle! Uno yo besto! Wahoo!
Boring.
That didn't explain anything.